Therapeutic positioning is a cornerstone of cardiopulmonary physical therapy, designed to optimize clinical outcomes for patients with acute, surgical, or chronic respiratory conditions. By prescribing specific body positions, physiotherapists can target key physiological goals, such as relaxation, pain relief, improved ventilation, and enhanced airway clearance. This approach is not just about comfort, it's a deliberate, evidence-based intervention that can significantly impact a patient's recovery and quality of life. In this video, we'll explore the core principles, physiological mechanisms, and clinical protocols behind therapeutic positioning, helping you understand why and how these strategies are applied in practice. The primary therapeutic goals of positioning in cardiopulmonary care include optimizing relaxation, providing pain relief, improving ventilation and gas exchange, minimizing dyspnea, and promoting airway clearance. Each of these targets addresses a specific physiological challenge faced by patients, whether they're recovering from surgery, managing chronic lung disease, or dealing with acute respiratory distress. By carefully selecting and adjusting body positions, therapists can directly influence how air moves through the lungs, how efficiently oxygen is exchanged, and how comfortable the patient feels during breathing. One of the foundational physiological principles in therapeutic positioning is the effect of gravity on the pleural pressure gradient within the lungs. In healthy individuals, gravity creates a vertical gradient, meaning alveoli at the top of the lungs are larger at rest but fill less during inspiration, while those at the bases are smaller but more compliant and receive more ventilation. This natural distribution ensures efficient gas exchange during normal breathing. Understanding this gradient is crucial for therapists, as it guides decisions about which positions will best support lung function in different clinical scenarios. In postoperative or acutely ill patients, breathing patterns often change due to pain, anesthesia, or reduced lung volumes. At lower lung volumes, the bases of the lungs may not ventilate effectively, shifting ventilation to the apices. This makes the lung bases especially vulnerable to collapse or atelectasis. To counteract this, therapists may position patients so that the affected regions are uppermost or encourage frequent position changes. These strategies help ensure that all lung regions receive adequate inflation and reduce the risk of complications. Closing volume is the lung volume at which small airways in dependent regions begin to close. In young, healthy adults, this occurs well below the normal resting lung volume, but in older adults or smokers, it can occur much closer to or even above the functional residual capacity. This means that during normal breathing, some airways may close prematurely, leading to poor oxygenation. After surgery or under anesthesia, closing volume can rise even in younger patients, increasing the risk of shunting and severe ventilation-perfusion mismatch. General anesthesia and the postoperative state can sharply decrease functional residual capacity, pushing the closing volume above the resting lung volume. This causes small airways in the dependent zones to close during normal breathing, resulting in shunting where blood passes through the lungs without being oxygenated. The result is a severe mismatch between ventilation and perfusion, which can compromise oxygen delivery to the body. Recognizing and addressing these changes is vital for safe and effective patient care. The upright position is often preferred for improving lung function. It increases both functional residual capacity and forced vital capacity, while decreasing closing volume. This position also expands the chest wall and improves basal lung expansion during deep inspiration. However, it can decrease venous return and cardiac output, and may promote pooling of secretions at the lung bases. For patients with weak abdominal muscles, the upright position can reduce diaphragmatic curvature, which may affect breathing efficiency. When a patient is positioned supine, or lying flat on their back, functional residual capacity is reduced and airway closure is more likely. This position increases central blood volume and can cause secretions to pool in the posterior lung regions. For patients with weak abdominal muscles, the increased curvature of the diaphragm at end expiration can actually be beneficial. However, the supine position carries a higher risk for gastric aspiration and hospital-acquired pneumonia, especially in ventilated patients. The head-down position further increases central blood volume and promotes basal lung expansion, but it also makes inspiration more difficult and can sharply increase dyspnea. Side-lying increases the chest wall diameter of the dependent region and shifts ventilation there, but it may decrease local tidal volume and FRC. Historically, placing the good lung lowermost was thought to improve oxygenation, but recent studies show that the benefits are inconsistent and must be evaluated for each patient individually. Prone positioning, where the patient lies face down, is especially beneficial for those with acute respiratory distress syndrome, ARDS, or severe lung injury. This position improves oxygenation by creating more uniform pleural pressures and redistributing tidal volume to the dorsal lung regions. It also helps prevent ventilator-associated lung injury by minimizing the repeated opening and closing of small airways. Prone positioning is a powerful tool in the management of critically ill patients, but it requires careful monitoring and specialized support. Prone positioning is indicated for patients with early ARDS, severe pulmonary edema, or acute lung insufficiency. It is contraindicated in cases of unstable spinal injuries, severe arrhythmias, or elevated intracranial pressure. Turning a patient prone requires at least 4 trained personnel, with careful attention to supporting the face, chest, pelvis, and ankles. The head position should be alternated every 2 hours, and the head of the bed kept slightly elevated to reduce aspiration risk. Sessions typically last from 2 to 20 hours. And should be discontinued if oxygenation improves or adverse events occur. Continuous rotation therapy uses specialized kinetic beds to constantly change a patient's position. This technique aims to resolve atelectasis, improve gas exchange, and automate airway secretion clearance. It's particularly useful for mechanically ventilated patients who meet criteria similar to those for prone positioning. The protocol involves tilting the bed to the maximum tolerable angle and setting dwell times for each position, simulating constant movement and minimizing stasis. For patients with chronic respiratory diseases like COPD, relaxation positions can provide significant relief from dyspnea. These positions often involve bracing the upper body and leaning forward, which optimizes diaphragmatic contraction and facilitates the use of accessory muscles. Common postures include high side lying with the head elevated, sitting while leaning forward over a table, or leaning against a wall. Proper support with pillows and controlled breathing techniques are essential for maximizing comfort and effectiveness. When instructing patients in relaxation positions, it's important to keep the trunk straight and fully supported with pillows. The head should be dynamically supported, and patients should avoid burying their faces, as this can worsen panic and breathlessness. Controlled breathing techniques, such as pursed lip breathing, should be co-administered to maximize the benefits. These strategies help patients manage symptoms and improve their quality of life, especially during periods of increased respiratory distress. Effective therapeutic positioning requires a case-by-case approach. Standard rules, like good lung down for unilateral disease, do not always apply, especially in complex conditions. Therapists must monitor patients closely during position changes, gradually raising the bed head to prevent postural hypotension and ensuring all lines and tubes are secure. Before moving a patient, define clear clinical targets such as oxygen saturation, heart rate, or comfort, and reassess these parameters after repositioning. Continuous assessment and individualized care are the hallmarks of safe and effective therapeutic positioning.